The wind blew softly across the empty land, carrying dust and silence. Once, this place had many voices, alien songs, and children's laughter. Now it was quiet, broken, forgotten. Homes were gone, lives lost, the ground cracked from war. Nothing stood, nothing lived, except for one small figure moving slowly near the ruins. She was young, thin, and strange to human eyes. Her skin was soft blue, glowing a little in the sun. Her eyes were large and silver. She looked delicate, but her hands were rough. Her name was Nara, and she was alone. In her hands, she held a brick, old but strong. She placed it carefully on the ground, wiped her hands, then looked around for the next one. Far away, hidden behind broken trees, a man watched her every day. His name was Jack, a human, a widower. He had lived nearby for many years. Ever since the war took his wife and child. He didn't speak much anymore. He had stopped hoping, stopped dreaming. But something about the alien girl caught his eye. She came every day, always alone, always working. Placing one brick after another, he asked himself, why is she building? Who is she building for? He didn't understand her. She never spoke, never looked his way. But her work was steady, quiet, and slow. He watched her build a small square on the ground. Brick by brick, her movements were careful. Almost like a prayer, she was making something. But he didn't know what. One evening, as the sun dropped low, Jack stood in the shadows, watching again. The girl picked up a heavy rock and dragged it across the ground. Her hands bled, but she didn't stop. Jack felt something twist inside his chest. Why is she doing this? He thought again that night. He dreamed of his wife, her voice calling him home. But the house was gone, just like before, the next day. Something strange happened as Nara placed another brick. A soft hum filled the air. Jack heard it too. It was not loud, but deep, like it came from under the earth. The girl looked around, but didn't seem scared. She just kept working. The bricks under her hands gave off a faint light. Like they were alive, Jack stepped back in fear. What is she building? He whispered. The girl paused, looked up, and for the first time, her eyes met his. Jack froze. His breath caught in his throat. Her eyes were calm, not angry, not afraid. She didn't speak. She simply nodded once. Then went back to work. Jack turned and left, his heart pounding. That night, back at his small cabin, Jack found something strange near his door. It was a brick, the same kind the girl used. But this one was different. It was warm and it was glowing. Soft and golden like candlelight. He picked it up slowly. His hands trembled. It felt like the brick was calling him, like it knew his name. He placed it on his table and stared at it for hours. He didn't sleep that night. The brick hummed quietly, like it had a heartbeat. Jack felt memories rising, images of his family. His old house. He wiped his eyes. Is this some kind of trick? Some alien magic? He wondered the next morning. He walked back to the ruins, carrying the brick in his arms. The girl saw him and stopped. He held it out to her, but she didn't take it. She smiled, a soft, small smile, and said one word, keep. Jack blinked, surprised. It was the first word she ever said to him. He nodded, placed the brick in his coat, and sat nearby, not too close, not too far. He didn't speak, and neither did she, but he watched as she placed more bricks. Slowly, carefully, like each one mattered. And he began to wonder, what if she's not just building a house? What if she's building something more? Something old, something important, something that could change everything. The sky turned red with sunset, and Jack stayed longer than he had planned. He didn't feel so heavy anymore for the first time in years. Something pulled him forward instead of holding him back. and in the ruins of a broken world, with one brick in his coat and another in her hands. A strange new story began. Asterisk the brick stayed on Jack's table for days. Sometimes he touched it, sometimes he just looked at it. It no longer glowed, but it was still warm, like it remembered him. He had placed it beside an old photo of his wife and son, and sometimes, when he looked at both, something in his chest moved, something soft. Something that hurt but also felt alive each morning. Jack returned to the ruins. Nara was always there, building quietly, brick by brick. Her body moved like a machine. Steady, sure, she never rushed, never wasted a single moment. She saw Jack but didn't speak again. Sometimes she smiled, but mostly she just worked. Jack didn't know what to say, so he sat near and watched, always with a glowing brick in his coat. Then one morning, something changed. Jack brought a small bag of tools, old and dusty, but still usable. Without asking, he picked up a broken stone and began to clear the path near her foundation. She looked at him, surprised, but didn't stop him from that day on. They worked together in silence. Jack didn't understand the design. The walls had strange curves, and some bricks hummed when placed. Sometimes Nara would stop, touch a stone with her eyes closed, then move to another spot as if listening to something only she could hear. Jack said nothing, but he noticed everything one afternoon. He found a small box buried under rubble. It was made of the same stone as the glowing brick, but darker, colder. He called Nara over and handed it to her. She took it slowly, stared at it for a long time, and whispered a word in her own language, something sad, something heavy. Then she walked to the center of the structure and placed the box inside the unfinished wall. The moment she did, the whole structure pulsed with light. The bricks glowed for a second, and a strange wind passed through the air. Jack stepped back, heart racing. "What is this?" he asked softly. Nara turned to him, her face calm, her eyes deep like stars. She pointed to the wall and said, "Home." Jack frowned. "Home." She nodded. "Not house," she said, tapping her chest. "Memory?" Jack stared at her, confused. "You're building a memory?" She nodded again. "For them," she said, pointing at the wall. "For me?" Then, after a pause, "Maybe for you." Jack couldn't sleep that night. His dreams were full of whispers, strange songs, old voices. His cabin felt colder than before, lonelier. He looked at the glowing brick and asked, "What are you really?" But it gave no answer. The next morning, he brought something with him, an old photo of his family. It was worn and torn at the edges, but he still carried it. He showed it to Nara. She took it gently, stared at it, then walked to a wall and placed it inside a small gap between the bricks. When she sealed it, the wall glowed not soft like before, but bright, alive, and warm. Then something happened that Jack couldn't explain. From inside the wall, he heard something. A sound not loud, but clear. It was a voice, soft and broken. His wife's voice singing a lullaby she used to hum to their son. Jack froze, his mouth open, his knees felt weak. What? What was that? He whispered. Nara looked at him. "Memory," she said again. "Your gift." He didn't know whether to cry or run. That sound had been gone for years, buried with the dead, but now it lived in a wall made of glowing stone and quiet pain. Jack looked around. The half-built structure no longer looked strange to him. It looked like a temple, not made for gods, but for love, for loss, for remembrance. "Is this magic?" he asked. Nara shook her head. "No magic," she said, "just memory and time." She looked tired that day, slower than before. Jack noticed. Her hands trembled, her skin looked dull. "Are you okay?" he asked. She nodded, but didn't meet his eyes that night. Jack left her a gift of his own, an old metal spoon his son had used as a toy. He didn't say a word, just placed it near the wall and walked away. When he returned the next day, the spoon was gone, sealed into the wall, and the bricks above it shimmered with a new light. A soft golden hue, like the morning sun. Others began to notice the light from the ruins. Shadows moved at the edges of the village. Whispers grew louder. Some said the alien girl was building a weapon. Others believed she was summoning the dead. But Jack knew the truth. She was not building a weapon, or a home, or a machine. She was building a place where pain could rest. A place where love could echo forever. And without meaning to, without planning it, she had given Jack the one thing he never thought he'd feel again: hope. Jack woke up early, before the sun. The wind outside was calm, the sky still dark. But something inside him felt different, lighter. For weeks now, he had watched Nara build, and little by little, something in his chest had started to heal. The glowing brick near his bed no longer scared him. It comforted him, like it was part of him now. He packed a small bag with food and tools and walked toward the half-built house. The ground felt warmer under his feet. The air had a faint vibration, not loud, just enough to make the hair on his arms stand up. When he arrived, Nara was already there. Placing another brick in the east wall, she looked pale, tired, but still moving with care, with purpose. "Morning," Jack said softly. She gave him a small nod, but didn't speak. He noticed something strange. The brick she had just placed was shimmering. Not glowing like before, but shimmering like water. Jack stepped closer and touched the brick gently. It felt like skin warm, soft, and pulsing. He pulled his hand back, eyes wide. "It's breathing," he whispered. Nara looked at him and gave a slow nod. "It remembers," she said. "It grows." Jack stared at the wall, shocked. "You mean? This thing is alive?" She thought for a moment, then answered, "Not alive like us," she said, "but not dead." As they worked, more strange things began to happen. When Jack placed a brick with a clear mind, the wall stayed quiet. But when he placed one while thinking of his family, the wall glowed softly. Once, when he remembered the night he lost them, the wall gave off a low hum, a sad sound, like a sigh. He touched another wall and closed his eyes. Suddenly, he felt a memory, not his own, a child's laughter. A song in a strange alien tongue. The smell of fruit from a world he had never seen. He gasped and stepped back. Nara was watching him, her face unreadable. "You felt it," she said. "That was mine." Jack didn't know what to say. This house they were building more than just memory. They were building a shared space, a place where past and present could meet, where pain could turn into something beautiful, but not everyone would understand. That afternoon, while they worked, Jack saw figures on the hill. 3 men from the nearby human outpost. Watching from a distance, one of them had binoculars. Another held a long weapon. Jack tensed. "We have company," he muttered. Nara stopped working and looked up slowly. Her eyes darkened, not with fear, but something colder: acceptance. "They will come," she said. "They always do." The next morning, 2 of the men walked into the ruins while Jack was alone. Their clothes were military, but old, worn from years of survival. One of them, a man named Bren, had been a soldier once. Jack knew him from long ago. "What's this place, Jack?" Bren asked, looking around with narrow eyes. "You helping her build something dangerous?" Jack shook his head. "It's not dangerous," he said. "It's memory." Bren laughed. "Memory? That's some alien trick word." He kicked one of the bricks, and the wall near it flashed bright. A deep sound rumbled through the ground. Bren jumped back, hand on his weapon. What the hell was that? He shouted, "Is it a bomb?" "No," Jack said firmly. It's alive in a way. It holds memories, hers, Mine. Maybe even yours if you let it. Bren shook his head. This thing gives me the creeps, he said. You should tear it down before command sends someone who won't ask first. He turned and left, leaving Jack standing alone, heart pounding. The wall behind him hummed softly, like it understood what had just happened. Jack placed his hand on it and whispered, "They don't understand you," that night. Jack and Nara sat together near the house. Watching the stars, she looked weak again. Her skin had lost its glow. Her eyes were dim. "You're getting worse," Jack said. She nodded. "The house takes energy," she said. "My energy?" Jack frowned. "You're giving yourself to it." She nodded. It must be finished. Jack looked at the walls. The shimmering shapes, the glowing corners. The bricks that sang with sorrow and light. He realized something he hadn't before. Nara wasn't just building a home. She was giving herself to it, piece by piece. And he had started to do the same as the wind rose around them, and the glowing walls pulsed gently in the night. Jack made a silent promise. He would protect this place, no matter what came. Because this wasn't just Nara's memory anymore. It was theirs, and soon. The world would either understand or try to destroy it. Asterisk, the sky was clear that morning. No wind, no clouds, just silence. Jack stood by the memory house, watching the walls breathe in slow pulses of light. The structure had grown taller, wider, and more alive. Some of the bricks now glowed blue, some gold. Others whispered softly when touched, like voices speaking from another world. It was beautiful and strange and impossible. But beauty never lasts without a price. Nara was weaker than before. Her steps were slow. Her hands shook as she laid another brick. Jack tried to help, but she waved him off. "It must be done by me," she whispered, "or it won't hold." He didn't argue. He just watched her, feeling helpless. He had grown used to her quiet strength, her silent sadness. Seeing her like this made his chest ache, like a wound reopening that night. The stars were brighter than usual. Jack sat outside his cabin, staring at the sky. Then he saw it, a light. Small at first, then growing bigger. It wasn't a star. It was moving, fast and smooth, cutting across the sky like a knife. He stood up, heart racing. The light turned red, then white, then disappeared behind the hills near the memory house. He ran, grabbing a flashlight and his coat. By the time he reached the ruins, Nara was already standing at the top of the structure. Her face was calm, but her eyes were full of pain. "They've come," she said softly. "Who?" Jack asked, panting. "Aliens." "Like you?" She nodded. "Not like me," she said. Worse, a loud hum filled the air. Low and deep, the ground trembled. And the wind picked up. In the distance, a shape appeared, a black ship. Smooth and round, floating just above the ground. It made no sound, but its presence was heavy, like it pressed against the air itself. Jack stepped in front of Nara. "What do they want?" he asked. "They want the vault," she said, pointing to the heart of the house. "They want the memories I've saved. They want to erase them." "Why?" Jack whispered, confused and angry. "Because memory is dangerous," Nara replied. "They fear the past. They fear truth." The ship opened, and 3 tall figures stepped out. They looked like Nara, but older, colder. Their skin was darker, their eyes hollow. They wore long robes, glowing with silver marks. One of them stepped forward and spoke in a strange tongue. The words were sharp, fast, full of command. Nara answered in the same language. Her voice was steady. But Jack saw her hands trembling. The alien pointed at the house, then at her heart. Jack stepped forward, fists clenched. "You can't have it," he growled. "It's hers." The alien looked at Jack like he was a bug. Unimportant, Then he turned and spoke again. This time in broken English, she is not allowed. She breaks the law. She's building something beautiful, Jack said. Something that holds pain and love and truth. How is that a crime? The alien's eyes narrowed because memory brings war, he said. Better to forget. Nara stepped forward, standing between Jack and the aliens. No, she said firmly. I will not give it to you. I will finish it. One of the aliens raised a hand and a strange light glowed in his palm. Jack reached for a nearby tool, ready to fight. But Nara touched his arm gently. No violence, she whispered. Not yet. Then she turned to the aliens, her voice loud and clear. Leave now, or the house will reject you. The aliens paused, as if unsure. Then one of them walked toward the house. He placed his hand on a glowing wall. A shock of light exploded from the bricks. Throwing him backward, he screamed as the memory wall flashed, showing Emma Giza, young alien girl, crying. Her family burning, soldiers with empty eyes. The alien scrambled to his feet. Eyes wide with fear. It remembers, he gasped. Nara looked at Jack. The house protects what it holds, she said. But only for a while. The aliens returned to their ship without another word. The ship rose into the sky and vanished without a sound. But the damage was done. Jack knew this wasn't the end. It was just the beginning. That night, Nara collapsed. Jack caught her before she hit the ground. Her body was cold, her skin dim. I'm sorry, she whispered. Too much. Jack carried her inside the memory house and laid her down near the vault. The bricks around her began to glow, soft and steady. He touched the wall and whispered, Please help her. The wall responded with a hum, gentle and deep. A memory Jack had never seen played across the surface Nara as a child. Smiling, building small towers from stone. Her mother watching nearby. Jack felt tears in his eyes. He had to finish this, for her. For all the memories she had saved, as the night passed. Jack sat by her side, holding her hand. Listening to the walls breathe, and in the quiet, he made a promise. If the house needed more memories, he would give them. If it needed protection, he would defend it. Because the visitors from the sky may return, but so would the voices of the past. And Jack would make sure they were never forgotten. The house was quiet, almost like it was sleeping. The soft glow from the bricks pulsed slower than before. Gentle like a heartbeat at rest, Jack sat beside Nara, her head resting on a folded coat. Her breathing was shallow, her skin pale and dim. She had given everything she had to the memory house, and now it held her stories, her pain and her love. Jack looked at her. Then at the walls around him. They shimmered with hidden lights, soft voices echoing inside. He stood slowly and walked to the heart of the house, the place Nara called the vault. It wasn't just a room. It was a center, a pulse. A living mind made of memory. He pulled a small object from his coat. A folded paper photo of his wife and son. The last one ever taken before the war. The edges were worn, the image faded. But it was still the most precious thing he owned. His fingers shook as he held it up to the wall. Take this, he whispered. Hold them the way I couldn't. He placed the photo inside a gap between two bricks and pressed it gently. The wall accepted it, glowing bright gold for a moment. Then the light spread across the vault, flowing like water down the walls. Jack stepped back, eyes wide. The glow stopped, then a soft wind blew through the room, though no doors were open. The bricks around him shimmered, then shifted, forming smooth shapes. Like waves in stone, a voice spoke not from outside, but from inside the wall, soft and clear. It was his wife. Jack, the voice said gently, you're safe now. Jack dropped to his knees. His mouth opened, but no words came. The wall before him began to show images, not just of his wife, but of their son. Laughing, running, falling into his arms. The sound of their voices filled the space. Not echoes, but full and real. Jack reached out, his fingers brushing the glowing surface, tears running down his cheeks. "I thought I lost you," he whispered. His heart ached, but this ache was warm, not empty, not cold like before. The memory wasn't just being played back, was alive. The wall didn't just remember. It shared, it felt, from the corner of the room. Nara stirred, her eyes opened slowly. Weak but aware, she saw Jack kneeling, the glowing wall, and the image of his family shining through the stone. "You gave," she said quietly. "Now it gives back." Jack turned to her. "What is this place really?" he asked. "Is it magic?" Nara shook her head. "Not magic," she said, "just truth, saved in stone." Felt with heart, Jack helped her sit up. "It's more than just memory," he said. "It's alive with love." She nodded. "When we lose someone, we try to forget to stop the pain," she said. "But I built this so we can remember without breaking." They sat in silence. Watching the walls, the light dimmed slowly, returning to a soft pulse. Jack stood and walked through the rest of the house, touching the walls. Some showed flashes of Nara's past, her mother planting flowers, her father teaching her to build, her village in peace before it fell. The walls breathed with history, alive and silent until touched. Then came a knock, not on a door, but on the edge of the memory wall. Jack turned sharply. A young boy stood just outside the entrance. Human, maybe 12 years old, dirty, alone. "Is it true?" the boy asked, "that this place shows the ones we lost?" Jack hesitated, then nodded. "Sometimes," he said. "If you remember them deeply enough." The boy stepped inside, holding something, a small toy, wooden and broken. "It belonged to my brother," he whispered. "He died last year." Jack pointed to an empty place in the wall. "Put it there." The boy placed the toy gently between the bricks. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the wall shivered, and the soft sound of two children laughing filled the room. The boy gasped. "That's us," he whispered. "That's him." Word began to spread. The memory house wasn't just some strange alien ruin. It was a place to heal, a place to remember. And people started to come, one by one. They brought small items, photos, jewelry, letters, pieces of lives lost to war and time. The house accepted them all, glowing brighter with each gift, warmer with each touch. But Jack knew peace never lasted long, not in a world still scarred by fear and suspicion. And the military had already shown interest. He could feel it in the wind, hear it in the silence between nights. He walked back to the vault, where Nara now slept again, weaker than before. The walls glowed softly around her, like they were protecting her. Jack placed his hand on the wall, feeling it breathe beneath his fingers. "You remember us now," he whispered, "but will they let you live?" Outside, far on the horizon, smoke rose into the sky, distant engines roared, and the sound of war crept closer once again. But inside the house, the walls remembered love. And love had power too. The sky turned dark early that day. Clouds moved heavy and slow across the hills. The wind had no sound, no birds, just a quiet that felt like a warning. Jack stood on the edge of the memory house. Watching the horizon, he had seen smoke in the morning. And now he saw lights moving in a line. Coming closer, slow but sure, the military was returning. He walked back inside, where Nara lay resting. Her skin was pale like moonlight, and her breathing was thin. The walls around her pulsed softly, as if they were trying to keep her warm. She opened her eyes when he stepped close. "They're here," he said, voice low. She nodded slowly. "They will take it, if we let them." Jack looked at the glowing walls, now covered with pieces of many lives. Toys, photos, broken jewelry, war medals. Pieces of clothes, every one of them full of memory. Full of pain and love. I won't let them, he said. Not without a fight. The first trucks arrived near sunset, engines rumbling, guns mounted. Soldiers in black stepped out, helmets on, eyes cold. One of them walked forward, Bren, the man who had visited once before. His face was harder now. Jack, he called. We need to talk. Jack stepped out of the house. Standing tall, you're too late, he said. This place is not a threat. It's a sanctuary. Bren shook his head. We can't risk it. Our commanders believe the structure holds dangerous Tekelian memory systems. Psychic energy, stuff we don't understand. Of course you don't understand, Jack said. It's not made for war. It's made for healing. Doesn't matter, Bren replied. Orders are orders. We're taking control. The soldiers raised their weapons. Nara stepped into the doorway. Weak but standing, her eyes glowing dim blue. You cannot take what is not yours, she said. Her voice was soft, but it carried through the wind. Bren raised his hand. Stand down, he ordered his men, if it resists. We take it apart, brick by brick. Then it happened. As one soldier stepped toward the wall, placing his hand on a glowing brick. A pulse of light burst out from the house. The man fell to his knees, eyes wide, staring at nothing. He screamed not in pain, but in emotion. I see her, he cried, my sister. She's smiling at me. Another soldier stepped back, confused. What's happening to him? He asked. More lights flashed. And the air grew heavy with memory. The walls began to speak. Not with voices, but with visions. Each brick opened like a door, showing scenes from different lives, families lost. Wars fought, hands held, babies born. Final goodbyes whispered in the dark. The soldiers looked around, overwhelmed, one by one. They dropped their weapons. Some cried, some held their heads. Some whispered names of people long gone. Bren stood frozen. Then he stepped forward and touched the wall himself. His eyes went wide and his body shook. I didn't want to shoot them, he whispered. I was ordered. I was scared. Jack stepped beside him. This house doesn't kill. It reminds. It shows you what matters, but not everyone was ready to feel. One young soldier ran forward, pulling a grenade from his belt. It's a trick. He yelled, it's mind control. Before he could throw it, the wall near him pulsed bright and released a shockwave of pure motion. Fear, love. The soldier fell to the ground, gasping, clutching a necklace around his neck. Mom, I miss you. The house wasn't just remembering now. It was defending. Jack turned to Nara, who had fallen to her knees, her energy almost gone. The house glowed brighter around her. You gave it life, Jack said. And now it's protecting you. Nara nodded slowly. It knows love, it knows fear, but it also knows choice. Jack stepped forward. Facing the soldiers, you can destroy this place. But it won't stop fighting, not with bullets, but with memory. And memories don't die easy. No one moved for a long time. The only sound was the humming of the bricks, like soft breathing, like a heartbeat from the ground. Then, slowly, one by one, the soldiers lowered their weapons and walked away. Some touched the wall before leaving. Others just looked back in silence. Bren stood last, looking at Jack. They won't stop sending people, he said, sooner or later. Someone will come who doesn't care about what's inside. Jack nodded. Then we make them care. That night, the memory house stood tall under the moonlight. Stronger than ever, the walls had fought. Not with hate, but with truth. And Jack knew the fight wasn't over. But it had begun in the right way. Inside, Nara slept quietly, her hand resting against the wall. The bricks around her glowed like stars. And the house whispered a promise in the wind. We will remember, always. Morning came slow and golden. Light spilled through the walls of the memory house. Each brick seemed to glow gently, like it had been kissed by the sun. The air was warm, soft, full of peace outside. The land was quiet, no more footsteps of soldiers. No more noise from trucks, just the wind and the gentle hum of the house as it breathed in light and peace. Jack stood near the doorway, his hands resting on the frame. He looked out across the hills and felt, for the first time in years, that he was home. Not the kind made with doors and windows, but the kind made with meaning, made with memory, behind him. Nara sat on a stone bench in the heart of the house. Her body was weak, but her spirit was strong. Her eyes, soft and glowing, followed the shapes on the walls as they shifted and danced with stored moments' laughter. Love, sorrow, all woven together like a living painting. Visitors came each day now. Quietly, carefully, they brought objects, gifts from their pasts, and left them with soft hands and tearful eyes. A woman left a music box, and the walls played the song at dusk. A man placed a soldier's dog tag, and the walls whispered the words of a final letter never sent. Every gift added to the soul of the house, and the house welcomed each one. One afternoon, a little girl entered. Her small fingers holding a faded drawing, she said nothing. Just walked to a wall and placed it between two bricks. The wall shimmered, and her drawing became part of the structure. She looked at Jack and smiled. "Thank you," she whispered. Then she ran back to her parents. Laughing, Jack watched her go, heart full. "They trust it now," he said. "They trust us," Nara nodded. "Because it remembers," she said, "and it never lies," as days passed. The house grew not in size, but in spirit. The walls responded faster, their glow brighter. The structure seemed to breathe deeper, hold more, become something more than just a place. It had become a symbol, a message, a living memory that refused to die. It had become family to the broken, the lost, the healing. Jack spent his days caring for the house, listening to its hum, learning how it spoke through vibration, color, and silence at night. He often sat beside Nara, talking softly, telling stories she had never heard, and ones he had never dared speak aloud before. One night, under starlight, he said something he never thought he'd say again. "You're not alone anymore." Nara looked at him with tired eyes. "Neither are you," she replied. She reached out and took his hand, and the walls glowed softly around them. A warmth spread through the floor, through the walls, through their fingers, and at that moment, Jack felt something shift, not just in the house, but in his heart. Time moved on, and one day, Nara closed her eyes and didn't open them again. She didn't fade in pain or fear, but in peace. Her final breath left her lips as a soft word. Family Jack carried her to the vault where the deepest memories were kept. He wrapped her in the old alien cloth she once used to wipe bricks, and placed a glowing stone beside her heart. The house welcomed her with light. The walls sang not a song of death, but a lullaby, one she had once shared from her childhood, one only the house remembered now from that day forward. Jack became the keeper of the house. He guided visitors, listened to their stories, accepted their gifts, and watched the house grow. People came from far away, humans, aliens, children, soldiers, refugees, all carrying small pieces of the past, all looking for a place where they could feel whole again. One evening, as the sun set behind the hills, Jack stood outside the memory house, watching two children play nearby, one human, one alien, both laughing as they ran circles around the glowing walls. They didn't fear the past. They didn't carry hate. They only knew that this place felt safe, and that was enough. Jack smiled, his face weathered but kind. He looked up at the house, now shining softly in the dark like a lighthouse of memory. "We built something good," he whispered, brick by brick, and in the wind. The house seemed to whisper back, "Yes, we did, because sometimes family is not who you're born with. It's who you build with," and the memory house, made from pain and love, from sorrow and hope, would remember them all, always.